What's going on, everybody? It is your boy Chris, man. We are here at the Work Hard, Play Harder podcast. It is Tuesday, September 3rd. It's the day after Labor Day. All the kids that went back to school, or high school kids, we should say. And now we're getting in. We're 2 days before the first day of NFL football. Cannot wait. Cannot wait. It's going to be a great time. My name is Chris Drummond. I'm a freelance sports reporter based out of Minnesota here, but I'm also in sales as well. I'm somebody who's proprietor of this podcast and someone who started this podcast because I love talking to people about their why and getting to know them outside of their occupation. I got a special guest that's coming on with me today. He has a podcast himself called The Real Deal with Courtney Harden. And that's who my guest name is, Courtney Harden. He's been doing The Real Deal for several years now. It's a great podcast. You should definitely check it out on the BS3 networks, as now we are both a part of the BS3 network. So it's going to be great doing his podcast. I did his podcast a while back. He's now doing mine. So without any further ado, I introduce to you the talented Courtney Harden. Yo, what's going on, baby? How we doing?
What's up, man? How you doing, man?
Oh my goodness, I'm doing good now. Good now, man. I see
Yeah.
you. It's all good. It's all love. How we doing
Yes.
this Tuesday evening?
I'm doing well, man. How about yourself? I'm doing good. Doing very
Oh, I
good.
cannot complain. Cannot complain. It's been a smooth day. Got off
Mhm.
earlier today. Was able to, do some grad school work, and now I'm rocking with you on here on my Work Hard, Play Harder podcast.
Yeah.
Before I start peppering you with some questions, again, I want to ask you, how is your podcast going so far, man? The Real Deal.
The podcast is going great, man. I mean, lately it's been getting a lot of guests. It's funny because usually around this time when football starts or college or NFL, and then when the NBA and NHL and yeah, the sports starts to really, the starts to really pick up with baseball soon ending, and the NFL like fall and winter sports starts to come along. People they're ready. They're ready to preview, ready to talk, and it's one of the best times to get guests. But the podcast is doing great, man. Just had a 4 hour podcast Saturday with just had a big NFL preview mega show. Haven't done one of those in a long time, a three,
Mhm.
4 hour show, which has been I used to do them constantly, but then it just got too much. And but I had a lot of great guests come on there. So that was the latest episode last Saturday. So it's going good.
I love that. I love that. And now
Yeah.
we are now brothers in arms as we are both now a part. And shout out to Ben Southern. We're both now
Hmm.
a part of the BS3 network, which
Yes.
which is amazing. Inked my podcast to be a part of that network last week. So it's been great. It's been awesome. Just
Great.
setting up guests, getting guests ready. So
Yeah.
you know, without any further ado, we'll kind of recap a little bit before we move forward a little bit.
Okay.
With
Yeah.
I know we dropped on this. Talk to me about your why, Courtney. Talk to me again about your why of why you do sports podcasting. What made you want to do sports podcasting? What made you just want to be involved in sports and communication alone?
Yes, it started with, as you said, growing up. Like I said, I'll give you the shorter version because I know we did it on the Instagram, but I'll give you the short version. It started, as watching sports, playing sports, and learning about the games in itself, learning about the sports themselves. And as young, and I give that to my older brother and my cousin, my cousins who I grew up with, and my aunt. She was a huge sports fan, and she used to come from Philly to upstate New York and visit on holidays and things like that. And she was, like I said, a big, huge sports fan, and that's where the love came from, just through family watching football and basketball, and then it just started to learn the rules and watching and just observing, and being taught a lot of those things with family and then friends, and then we just started debating and sports radio and ESPN, Sports Center. That was all part of growing up and watching
Absolutely.
those and sports radio was a huge thing and newspapers and statistics. I was just love that stuff. Scouter report, statistics collected, basketball, baseball, football cards, just reading the stats and really studying that and learning the players' strengths and weaknesses and just really researching all those things. And it just started with the love of it. And again, debating, going through junior high, high school, debating sports and talking about sports. And it was just like a daily thing. And interesting enough,
Right.
my cousin, she she sent me a picture just recently. It was me when I was 13. So you're talking 30, 30, almost 32 years ago now. So she just sent me a picture recently. And in fact, she found her scrapbook. He said, "Hey, look at this." I was interviewed at 13 by one of the local media newspapers and asked me, he was asking people, "What do you want to do? Or what do you
Sure.
do? Or what do you like to do?" And it said something like, I want to be a sports journalist or sports broadcaster or analyst, a broadcaster journalist because I love to interview people. 32 years later, this is what I'm doing now. So that shows you the why of how passionate I was, that everybody knew they wanted me to be. They said, you were going to be on radio, you're going to do this. But I that's had the passion, loved it. And to this day, they said 32 years later, from that point, I, we're here. And that's where the podcast, uh, that's the beginning roots of the podcast. And I've been doing the podcast, The Real Deal, for almost, yeah, I would say 9 years now, nine, ten
Absolutely.
years. So started writing and blogging. It was on a couple websites that I used to do some writing in, and then one of the websites wanted me to do a podcast, and I did that. It was first called The Takeover. Had a partner with me at that time and a co-host. So we did that for a year or so, and then when that
Absolutely.
website when that website folded, we kind of went our separate ways. But my co-host, he just went with, we separated, but we were still in contact. We're still with we still rock to this day. So there was no hard feelings, nothing like that. It's just I started just doing my own thing, and he was doing his thing with another person that was on the same website. So we were
Oh,
still
okay.
connected.
Okay.
We were still connected, just in a different network now, different thing. And then when that was for a year or two, and then I started doing my own thing, and uh, I know we talked about this before about burnout, and that's when that was in 2018. Took a year off. I was doing
Yeah.
so much writing and podcasting, things like that, and then went ahead in 2019. Ben Sutter from the BS3 Network, he had reached out and said, "Hey, I haven't seen any of your content. Just wanted to know I'm starting a new network. Would you like to be part of it? Love to be a part of it." And I told him, I said, "Hey, if I join this network, I want to really set my own schedule. I don't feel like I'm pressured to put out so much content like I did before, which I
Sure.
enjoyed it, but didn't want to do that burnout." And he was like, "Absolutely." He said, "This is your creative thing, and you do it however you want. You pick a time, and you can just have your own schedule." And ever since then, I've been with the BS3 network for the last 5 years now, since 2019.
Absolutely. I love that. I love it. And
Yeah.
like I said, Ben's a great guy.
Yes.
Definitely had similar conversations with him, talking to him about my podcast. And I definitely wanted to get some more kind of opportunities to be able to cover games too, because that's something
Hmm.
that's also up my alley as well. So
Yeah.
I'm definitely hoping that we can be able to do that in the future for sure. Let me ask you this, Courtney, and this has to do with the work-life balance, right? Because
Mhm.
everybody who follows you on Instagram knows that you're married, and I'm sure that's a wonderful lady that you've been with
Yes.
many years, I'm sure. Talk about the work-life balance of working a job, trying to also get your podcast off the ground, but also trying to be able to live life too, man. I'm sure you have a life outside of just doing what we passionately love to do, but there's other things that probably interest you as well. Talk about that work-life balance.
Yes, the work life balance, it's Swanka. We all try to figure that out. Like, what's the best thing to do the work life balance? And I just had a guest on my show, and just recently, maybe a week ago, and she was talking about, she doesn't really like the word balance. It's just what you love to do. If you do it like if you have your job, full-time job, or if you podcast and you have
Sure.
a family, you prioritize that. You prioritize however you want to your life to be like. So, like I said, during the 2018, when I was getting burnt out, I took that year off of just podcasting, which was tough. But having my wife who's always motivated me, always pushing. She's one of the biggest reasons why I'm doing this. Because she's always pushing me and always motivating me each and every time. But we talked about a lot of that, like, you're working full time and you're trying to write and you're trying to podcast full time. It's hard to do. We only get so many hours of the day where we're
Right.
not sleeping, you know what I mean? So,
Right.
but
Right.
you want to be you're on your best when you get that balance, that rest, that all those things. So, and I took that, and that's why when I started to rebranded the podcast, it was all about, okay, I could do the podcast anytime I want. And if I don't do it for a week or two, I don't feel stressed out that I'm missing anything, and
Mhm.
I could do it how I could do it like with any time, whatever if I might need to do a 15-minute one or an hour, I could just make my own schedule with it. So I
Right.
think that was a big key. But then like I said, I am married, been married for 19 years, just had our 19-year anniversary 2 weeks
Congratulations,
ago.
baby.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. So that's part of it. I love hanging with family, and family, wife and family comes first, all first and foremost. And
Absolutely.
and I think that's where it goes in. And then you know my faith also is important. My relationship with God and going to church daily on Sundays and just so that's for one, that's the most important. And then it's wife, family, and then friends. So I try to, prioritize all of those things. And
Mhm.
then I have the podcast on top of that. So for me, it's become more simpler now because I might go, like I said, go a week or two without even doing podcasts and not missing anything. I'm enjoying life. And I'm working and I'm enjoying life and then enjoying the family and things like that. And then I get to the podcast, like, okay, I can come back, get a couple of guests for the week. Sometimes I might do 4 or 5 shows in the week. And that's when
Yeah.
I just try to find the time with the guest, and I balance that out too. And then I go and I exercise. I do a lot of I do kickboxing, so I do that. So that's on top of that. So I find it simplified it more. So it's a pretty it's not, I'm not saying it's easy, but it can we can make it more simpler than what it is. So I try to find that balance. So I think I do pretty well with the balance of it.
I would say so. Absolutely. On
Yeah.
here with Courtney Harden, podcaster of The Real Deal on the BS3 Network on my Work Hard, Play Harder podcast. Courtney, the one thing that you said that really struck me was the fact that it's more simpler. And it
Mhm.
seems to me, and maybe you can also elaborate on this, it gets simpler for when you get older. I know I'm in my
Yes.
30s now,
Yep.
and I'm somebody who I'm not married, but I look at somebody like yourself, and I'm like, man, I want to have some love like that one day. I want to be
Mhm.
able to love somebody like that and have somebody in my corner. And I see somebody doing it, doing kickboxing, doing podcasts, doing sports, still finding the time to be able to also do what he wants to do outside of what he loves to do, which is podcasting and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it's inspirational, right? Does it get simpler as you get older? Because I know for me, when I was younger in my 20s, I was just go, go, go all the time. And I felt like I
Yeah.
never had enough time in the day. And I felt like things were just extremely hard. And my mindset was, you know what? I just can't do it. Instead, in my 30s now, I'm saying the game life has slowed down for me a little bit because I'm
Yeah.
making things more simpler instead of
Mhm.
trying to do the extravagant. What would you say to that?
I agree, 100%. That's what it is. It does seem like as we get older, um, things slow down. It doesn't, and it we get to a point where like I said, I was like you, and there's times I want to do more. There are those you're gonna have those times. There's times you think, man, there's just not enough time, and I tell my wife, you doesn't even. She said, well, you try to load up too much in a one day. You can't do that at all. You can't
Sure,
work a
sure.
full time 8 to 10 hour day, and then you're trying to do 3, 4 podcasts in that same day, and and on top of that, spending time. with
Mhm.
her and or friends, and then it's that's hard to do. And there's times when then I'd like to read, I watch games, I do a lot of I record like say PTI and shows like that, Get Up, things like that. So I'm trying to watch that. I'm trying to watch games on with that as well. I can't do all that at the same time. So yeah, so you said once you strip that away, like I said, I had those days where I'm thinking, man, I don't feel like I accomplished anything, but it does start and when you get older, it does start to slow down, or we slow down a little bit, and we don't have to say yes to everything. I thought at that time in our 20s, like you said, you saying yes to everything. Like, you get
Everything.
opportunities, you say yes. Like I said, when I was writing for one of the blogs websites,
Hmm.
um, I was one of the main writers. I was one of the featured writers. So I was doing so much writing on this website, and it just like I said, it was a lot because I'm trying to get all this content out and I'm trying to do all these things. And
Hmm.
it wasn't some of my best material either. At one point, I was just doing it for the sake of doing it. It's like, oh, breaking news. I got to write this out. I got to do this. I'm going all these different places to try to find. Then you get writer's block. You get all these things that happens to
Absolutely.
you. You get, and then you're even when you're interviewing, it doesn't even feel like you're interviewing your guest. It doesn't feel like you're even. It's like not some of your best material. So I said,
Right.
yeah, it has slowed down, and now I feel like I'm doing much better than I did when I first started 8 years ago, and even 10 years ago. It's just seemed like yeah, the slowdown as you get older, it definitely does. And like I said, there are times where I'm thinking, man, I want to do so much more, but I'm like, "Yeah, I can wait till tomorrow. I can wait. I feel like I've done enough. I can wait till tomorrow. I can wait till tomorrow. So
Sure.
or the next day.
Sure.
So and if not, that opportunity might not be. If it wasn't that, it wasn't for you. Then it's more of okay. There'll be another opportunity. There'll be another time I can interview this person or something like that. So there's always other times where if you don't get to that task or whatever, you're just like, okay, I'll just give it another day, or I'll just wait to another time. It just wasn't meant to be that day. So I
I
look
love
at
that.
it that way. Yeah.
I love it. I do. I
Mhm.
do. Now, if someone came up to you, my man, and said, "You know what? I want to do what you do, but
Mhm.
I'm afraid. I don't know how to start it. I don't know what to do." Because, like you said, you kind of had to rebrand your podcast. Every podcaster goes through it. You kind of want to know, okay, what kind of guests do I want to have on? What kind of questions am I going to set up? What kind of things are we going to talk about? Every guest is going to be different because they've done different things and they're different
Yeah.
people. What would you tell somebody that came up to you and said, "Hey, I would love to do what you do"? What kind of advice would you give?
I love this question because I asked this question on my show too, and you get a lot of different answers. And then when I get it presented to me, it's like, oh man, I got to think about this. But to me, I always tell people that want to either start a podcast or try to get into it. I say, just do it. If you can find what you're passionate about, whatever the topic is, or whatever you enjoy doing, where it could be sports, it could be business, it could be politics, it could be cooking, it could be weather, whatever it is. There's a niche for it. There's something for everybody. We talked about this in our last one we did. There's a lot of podcasts, and to differentiate yourself, you just love, like, if you're passionate about sports or business or politics, whether whatever it is, cooking, whatever,
Right.
uh, just do it. You can there's so many platforms now where you can where you can start a podcast. You can record on your phone. You can record now that you can go on Facebook Live, go to Instagram Live. You just try to get comfortable with it. If you're talking about something you're passionate about, you're going to succeed. You're going to talk about it. You love what you do. I'd say just hit record on one of those first. Start small, just do 5-10 minutes. And then as you get those reps and you keep doing it, you network, you just start branching out to different people from social media, Twitter, Instagram. That's one of the good things
Without
about
question.
social media, Facebook, whatever it
Oh
is,
yeah.
TikTok.
LinkedIn
Uh,
too, no doubt.
yeah, yeah. You start building your brand, or you're building your own network. You just reach out, and then you start asking people, hey, I have a podcast. Here's what the podcast is about. Um, can you come on? Then you can start gradually building that and getting those guests and getting your network and your brand, and it just keeps getting better and better. The more reps you get, the better you're going to get at it. Then you won't be as nervous. And I was nervous my first time. I'm sure you were too. When you get on that,
Yeah.
you feel like we could do it, and it is. We love sports, but once that recording hits and that red light comes on, we say it's like, oh, okay. And if you, hey, and I tell people in the beginning, hey, if you mess up, so be it. Don't take it so serious. Have fun doing this, and
Right.
just continue to keep getting those reps, and eventually you'll gradually, and then you can start doing Zoom interviews, or you can start getting into more of the networks and things like that, and that's when you will get you just keep getting better and better. Then you can start doing on your laptop, and doing one-on-ones, and one-on-one interviews, and just get better. So I just say just do it, um, and find what you're passionate about, those topics you're passionate about, and then the sky's the limit. And like I said, then you start reaching out to guests, and next thing you know, you got a podcast, and now you're getting into these networks and things like that, and then it's and then now websites are looking at you, or others are looking at your material and your content. And hey, and always, I always say, and always just keep pushing it out there. Get your YouTube channel going and all those things. Just keep pushing all that content out, because that's where people start seeing it, and people start liking it, sharing it. And I say share it all over. Share it. Just keep
Love
sharing.
it.
Yeah.
I love that. No, I really
Mhm.
love that answer. That's a pretty dope one.
Thank you.
Let me get some of your favorite things. I'm gonna ask you again some of your favorite things. I want to
Okay.
know favorite uh favorite place you've ever traveled to.
Favorite place. Yep. As I said, Vegas was definitely one. I've been there quite a few times. I love Vegas, and Orlando, because Orlando was my first official trip with my wife's family at the time. She graduated from high school, and we were just boyfriend and girlfriend at that time, but she graduated. I was already graduated, but she graduated high school, and she wanted me to go with her family, and they were like, yes. So that always have a special place in my heart. So Orlando, and now we've gone. Oh, man, it's been so many times, but I think those are two of my favorite places that I've been. It's a vacation that we still keep going, and of course, in New York City, that's always a good place to go to.
I love that.
Mhm.
Favorite sport that you like to play.
Basketball.
Okay.
I mean, for one, I love football and basketball, but favorite sport I love to play was always been basketball, because I think you can still. I coached it. I coached my nephews when they were young, and I played. So and then you could just go out there and still. I mean, I haven't played basketball in so long, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's my favorite sport to play.
Okay. Now, I don't mean to put you on the spot, Courtney, but I am gonna put you a little bit on the spot on the Work
Okay.
Hard podcast. Give me your top three favorite interviews that you've done thus far.
Oh man. Oh geez. That's a good one. I always There's so many. I've done so many. I
Yeah.
mean, so many. Like my main show, I've done 100. Well, since 2019, I've done 100 over 150 episodes. But that's just a Saturday show. But all the other ones in between, I've probably done 300 to 400 episodes, maybe more. Oh man, let's see. One that really sticks out. Miriam Fader. Um, she was one of my first interviews, and she always says that I was her first pod. She was the first podcast she's ever been on, and she's an author, staff writer for The Ringer now. She's got her second book coming out real soon too. About Hakeem Olajuwon. Her first book was about Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Okay.
We become really good friends outside of just the podcast. So that's one of them. I've interviewed her multiple times. So uh, hmm. I've interviewed Freddie Coleman a long time ago from ESPN. I would say he was another one that was
Okay.
that was that was a big one. And a third one, I don't want to leave anybody out, but some of my favorite ones I did was just recently on Media Row. It was when we was at the Super Bowl. We interviewed so many different and sports and podcasting and broadcasting. There's not really one specific one, but people could all they could check out all the interviews we did there too. But there was yeah, I think those are my favorites. But there was one in Super Bowl with Serena Morales. She was former ESPN,
Yep,
and
absolutely.
she was really good. And interesting enough, quick story about that background. I interviewed her a couple of times before, and I reached out to her. I said, "Hey, I'm going to be on Radio Row. The network got picked to be have a booth there. Um,
Mhm.
can you? I would love for you to come on, and I can meet you face to face too. On just on top of that." And I asked her, "Was she gonna be there?" And she's done a lot of media roles, so she was like, "Yeah, I just need a credential and da da da." I said, "Don't worry about it. I'll see what we can do with the network. We can just reach out and NFL give her a couple day pass or whatever." She came right on. She got the day pass. She thanked us for the interview, and
Mhm.
Ben finally got to meet her too. So she was really good, and so she's probably one of my favorite interviewers that I've done too. So yeah, I
She's
would say
definitely
those
on the
three.
bucket list for sure. She's
Yeah,
on my
yeah,
bucket list to definitely do
yeah,
that for sure.
yeah, for sure. You would love it because super engaging. You talk for an hour with her, and it's like she's got so many stories, and she's super engaging and uh, very very nice. Like I said, you meet her in person.
Mhm.
That was just better. So it was just yeah, it was yeah, that was three of my off the top, but there's so many, so many different ones.
Absolutely. And I know I put you on the spot for that, but you did a really, really good job. There's no
Thanks.
question about that. The last of
For
the
sure.
favorites before we get into the this or that game, favorite restaurant out there in the 215, man, because I definitely plan on coming out there in November.
Okay. All right. Well, hit me up when you do for real because we can for sure uh we could do something and everything's link up and everything too.
No question. Absolutely.
Favorite restaurant. Let's see. There's I mean quite a bit here in Philly. I mean, there's so many different things. I know people think cheesesteaks when they do, which is yes, definitely. But I mean, you can go to a lot of different places. I mean, Reading Terminal. The Reading Terminal is like a big, huge. I mean, they got restaurants in this place. You could do a little shopping. I mean, it's been featured on like Food Network. So that's one. It's not even just a restaurant. It's like a big market, but it's called the
Okay.
Reading Terminal. Yeah, that one. But if I had to pick a restaurant, like I said, there used to be one called Relish, and it was a soul food buffet. They're not open now, but they have other different ones like it, and it's
I
owned
like
by the
that.
same.
Okay.
Owned by the same team,
Mhm.
and they were good. And I can't remember what the restaurant is called, but it's almost like the same thing. They do soul food, and that's good. And I mean, and you have your typical chain restaurants, things like that. But I would say if you want to come just to Philly itself, Reading Terminal is one of the biggest things. You get a little bit of everything there.
Okay.
So yeah,
Absolutely. Well, no
right.
question. I would definitely hit you up when I'm there in November.
Okay, for sure.
No doubt. No doubt about that. I like to do a game called This or That. If anybody's
Hmm.
ever checked out my other episodes, it's on my YouTube channel and Jumbo Christopher Five of the Work Hard, Play Hard podcast. This is the game, interactive game, where I like to be able to ask my guests, would you choose this or would you choose that? So love to have some fun. Courtney, we about to have some fun right now. We're gonna start it off with this first one here, and that is Popeyes or KFC.
Oh, I'm gonna say lately KFC. I'm gonna say that. I used to love Popeyes and still do, but lately it's just hasn't been the same really. They're just, you know, customer service is a big thing, and I think they
Oh,
have
yeah,
slipped a little bit. So
yeah, yeah.
still good food, but I
Mhm.
haven't been there lately. But I'll go with KFC.
Okay, now I dig that. Now, chicken wing flavors, barbecue
Mm.
or lemon pepper.
Gotta go barbecue, man. Gotta go classic. I love it. Barbecue for
Okay,
sure.
okay. So, do you like your wings wet or dry?
Dry. I love a dry wing. not a huge fan of wet chicken wings. Well, I like them, but I love the dry chicken wings.
Okay, and do you like bone in or boneless?
More boneless now, and it's funny. Growing up, it was always bone in, but I'm
Yep.
a more of a boneless chicken wing person now.
Give
So
me
yeah,
the meat.
boneless, bone.
I'm with
Yeah.
you on
Hmm.
that. I'm with you on that. Totally,
Yeah.
totally. Okay, here we go. The next four that I got for you, Courtney, is going to be music concerts that you rather attend. Okay,
Okay.
so
Yep.
the first one is, which concert would you rather attend? Would you rather go see Boys the Men or New Edition? And we talking about
Ooh.
in their primes. We're not talking
Yes.
about now.
Yes. Ooh. Oh man. I mean, I grew up on both for sure, and in their prime, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Boys to Men. I think I'm gonna have to go Boys to Men.
That's a hard one
Slightly,
right there.
yeah.
That's
So I'm
hard.
gonna go. I'll go Boys. I'll go Boys to Men.
Okay, okay. So here's another one. All right, here's another R&B type. Which one would you rather go see in a prime, Keith Sweat or Gerald Levert?
I, I'm gonna go Gerald Levert on that one. I mean, I do like Keith Sweat and all the hits he had, but Gerald Levert was so smooth, man. So I gotta
Well,
go Levert. Yes, I gotta go Levert. Gerald Levert.
okay, okay, you're doing pretty good. Now,
Mhm.
which one, which concert would you rather go to? Again, this is in a primes. Would you rather go
Mhm.
see Michael Jackson or Prince?
I had a feeling this was gonna come up, and it depends on the day. But I think at the end of the day, they both were super talented. They both, um, were just they just had a lock on the music. The music was locked. But if entertainment wise, I'd probably go Michael Jackson. But if you
Okay,
ask me tomorrow, I'll probably say Prince. But I'll say
I
Mike at
proud. I
this
feel you.
moment.
I feel you on
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Okay, okay,
yeah.
okay. Now, Courtney, you did good.
All
This
right.
one, last one right here, though, is about when you go into the concert with your lady, okay, with your wife.
Okay. All right.
Which one would you rather take her to or go see? Are you going to take her to see Whitney Houston or Janet Jackson?
Well, I'll say this. I was a I was a bigger fan of Janet at the time. I think Janet was I still to this day of Janet. Still say Janet Jackson. I know that's people are like, oh, what about Whitney? No, and there's no such loved Whitney Houston, but Janet was one of my favorite artists of all time. So I gotta go Janet on that one.
Okay, I'm with you on
Yeah,
that. I'm with
yeah.
you on that. Hey, listen, you can't go wrong with either one.
Neither one,
Um,
no, for
Either
sure.
one, you can't go wrong.
Mm-mm, no.
Janet Jackson, Rhythm Nation is probably
Yes.
one of the greatest CDs of all time,
Yes.
ever
Yes.
made. So
Hmm.
no question about that. And her tour. Her tour is she's more interactive with her tour than Whitney was,
Yeah,
but
Whitney
Whitney's
was. Yep.
probably the better singer. No
Oh,
question
Whitney,
about
yeah. No good. Whitney's voice is one of the all-time greatest voices, just in general. Like at the time, she was the voice
it.
of R&B music or yeah, R&B soul music. But you said entertainment. I'm going Janet all day because he said I'll be
Absolutely.
more entertained with with the Jackson, listen, General Michael or Janet, either one. So I gotta go Janet, like I said, one of my favorite artists of all time. So definitely Janet.
I feel you on that. Okay. Which
Mhm.
sport would you rather watch on TV? Would you rather watch college football or pro football?
I'm NFL. I'm more NFL than college. Now back in the day, I was heavy into college football. Not so much now. I mean, I still pay attention and watch games when they're on, but I'm just a big fan of the NFL. A huge fan. So I'll go with the NFL more on TV than
Okay.
college football.
Okay. I like that. Which sport would you rather play? Badminton or bowling?
Badminton. I think there's something about badminton, man. Like and I enjoy bowling. I do enjoy that too because I love to do it. But badminton's so much fun, and used to play it at my mother-in-law's when she used to have a net up. She would always have badminton. We're playing that, and I was just watching on the Olympics just recently, and I was like, man, this game it's so much fun to play. So I go badminton.
I like that. You know,
Yeah.
I'm somewhat good at badminton. I'm better at bowling. Are you a good
Mhm.
bowler?
Decent bowler. I'm a decent. I don't bowl as much as I would love to, but I'm pretty decent in at bowling. Once I get when you start going back and you get that rhythm, you're like, okay, this is yes, I could get into it. It takes a few games, but then it's like, oh yeah, this is what I'm pretty good
I
at.
feel
So
you on
yeah.
that. I feel you on
Hmm.
that. We may have to test that theory now. We just might.
Okay. That might be it. Yes, yes.
Might test that theory. That's for sure.
Yeah.
We got two more of this or that. Do you like desserts?
Yes. Love them.
Okay. So now what we're going to do, Courtney, is we're going to throw four different categories of desserts. You have
Okay.
to choose one of these that you'll never eat again. Okay.
Mm.
So
Okay.
here we go. The first one is cookies.
Right.
The next one is cake. The
Okay.
third one is ice cream.
Okay.
The last one is candy. Which one are you getting rid of that you'll never eat again?
I gotta keep cookies, especially chocolate chip. Um,
Mhm.
cake is another one. Gotta keep that. I like a lot of different types of cakes, chocolate, vanilla. Yeah, I like a lot of cakes, so they stay. Ice cream stays too. So I would get rid of candy. I've come now as I gotten older, like candy don't taste doesn't taste the same, of course, but it's that would be the last resort if I had to pick out of the four. Because only like certain amount of candy. So plain M&Ms or something like that. That's my favorite, or Nestle Crunch. But if I had to pick one to get rid of forever, it would be candy.
Okay, I'm
Yeah,
rocking with you right there because I can't
yeah.
get rid of my red velvet cake. That's the
Okay.
greatest cake ever made. The greatest cake ever made. The red
Red
velvet,
velvet. All
no
right, yeah.
question.
I'm a chocolate on chocolate. That's my favorite cake of all time. So I could just so that the moisture of it, everything with that, man. The cake and ice cream. Oh, yeah, it's so good.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Hmm.
Now, the last one here has to do with potato chips. Do you eat potato chips?
Yes, I do. Yep.
Okay, so same format. Gonna throw out four brands. You got to get rid of one of these brands you'll never eat again.
Okay.
One of the brands is not Cheetos, so don't worry
Mm.
about that. Okay,
All
but
right.
but the first brand is Doritos. The
Okay.
second brand is Ruffles. The
Mm.
third brand is Lay's.
Okay.
The last brand is Pringles. Which one are you getting rid of that you'll never eat again?
This one's easy. Pringles. I'll get rid of Pringles. And I
Oh my
gotta,
gosh. Oh,
yes,
Courtney,
I do
Courtney, come
not.
on.
I am not a fan. Not a fan, man. The regular chips, I mean, Lay's, Ruffles, and of course, Doritos to me is at the top. So, but I gotta get rid of, yeah, I'm keeping Doritos and Ruffles and Lay's. Definitely.
Well, the greatest chip ever made was sour cream and cheddar. Ruffles. That's the greatest chip ever
Mm,
made. Now,
mm,
Doritos, I'm with you. Can't get
yep,
rid of Doritos,
yep.
but I'm getting rid of those Lay's.
Okay.
Because they have not sour cream, they got salt and vinegar. Anything salt and vinegar is nasty as hell. Don't nobody want to eat that.
But
Don't
see,
nobody.
I don't like salt and vinegar, and I don't like sour cream and onion. I don't like any of that. I just give me
Oh,
plain Lay's with salt. I'm good with it. So if you say Lay's, I know it's a variety, but I'll just take the Lay's plain chips,
mm,
which classic. So I'll take that. But yeah, I've just never been a big fan of Pringles. I don't know why. It's just I don't know, different taste, different flavor than just plain regular chips. So
I
yeah,
love that. I do.
yeah.
And you did really good on this or that. I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
you doing that.
All right. Love that.
I love asking this question to all of my guests because
Mhm.
it's a different kind of question. If you wasn't in sports or podcasting, what career path would Courtney have went into and why?
Hmm. You know, sports, if I didn't do sports and podcasting, I mean, I worked at a sneakers, I did work at a sneaker store about 10 years ago, and I did enjoy that. So I probably, because I'm a big, huge sneakerhead too, so I probably would be in some type of somewhere in probably in sneakers, whether it would have been working for a sneaker store like a Foot Locker or something like that, and then maybe transition into try to work for like Nike or somewhere that way, Jordan brand, something like that. So I probably would have did something in that within that realm of sneakers and something with sneakers or clothing or something like that.
I like that. I really do. I'm a huge sneakerhead too. I'm still
Hmm.
trying to find my Jordan 10s. I can't seem to find
Mm.
them nowhere. You know the Jordans with the stats on the bottom,
Yes.
the
Oh yeah.
comeback Jordan.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to find those. So, but I
And
will
for a
not
good
stop.
price. And for a
Yeah,
good price.
yeah.
Where you
Tell
don't
me
have to
about
pay, where you don't have to pay so much money.
it.
I mean, we could talk that could be a whole other podcast, like with the sneakers and the culture of it and everything too. Like, because yeah, like I'm still I want to get my like the 11s of the Jordan 11s, with the pad leather, the red, black and red ones. Finding them, I mean, I can get them. I just don't want to pay the price. I don't want to pay five, $700, $800 for that. I just don't want
Come
to do
on,
that.
MJ. You got to do better
Yeah,
than that, baby. Come on
right.
now.
Everywhere I see them, and I'm thinking, okay, I got to put up, 5 to, and I know people do it, but I know I got other things, I got other priorities I got to take care of before I drop something like that. I mean, I'd rather go. We talk about vacation. I'd rather drop some of that money, go on a vacation, than
Right.
a pair of sneakers. I don't need them that bad, so
No,
I'll
I'll go to TJ Maxx and give me some sneakers and we'll be good. So no
yes,
problem.
yeah. Price drops. Yes, I'm all for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Let me ask you this next question, Courtney, because this is also another significant question I love asking different people in sports and
Hmm.
communicating roles. And that is, what is your top four events that you would like to cover? You talked about the Super Bowl.
Hmm.
What is four other events that you would like to cover or be a radio row up or be on radio
Mm.
row?
Mm. Yeah, because I got a chance. Like you said, that was a dream of mine to at least. I mean, I just wanted to go to Radio Row and just to be in that atmosphere, but to actually be there for that week and to see all that. So that I got to do that. That was a great one of the greatest experiences there. But anything I would like four things I would like to cover. Um, Super Bowl would be one if I could actually cover the game in itself. I think that's one. NBA Finals would be another one. Uh, let's see, the Olympics. I think that's because I mean you cover that's a variety of things to cover in the Olympics. So I think that would be another. That'd be my third. The fourth one probably be the sports wise. I mean, I mean, you could do the U.S. Open for tennis. That would be big. But if I had to pick another one, it'd probably be either a national championship, either of it could be college basketball, college football.
Yeah.
Um, but lately the WNBA, I mean, just in general, WNBA playoffs, finals, um, would be because going to the draft, I got to cover some of the draft 2 years ago. That was an amazing experience, and so that would yeah, those would probably be the four I would actually. But if I'm doing the Olympics, I can cover a variety of sports. So
Absolutely.
so yeah, those will be it.
I love it.
Mm.
Those are exactly my top four. Obviously, the Olympics being in Los Angeles, next Olympics
Yes.
is something that's
Yes.
enticing because I grew up in California, in San Diego.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Right.
to be able to go out there and cover the Olympics in my hometown state would be great.
Hmm.
College football, obviously, man, if I could find a way to get to Atlanta this year, because that's what a national championship is,
Yeah.
that would be
Hmm.
amazing to go back to where my mom and uncle and aunt is to do that. I would love that. And also do not only that, but the basketball as well. Because I'm a huge March Madness person. It's the only time I
Yeah.
really watch college basketball like
During
thoroughly
March
is
Madness.
March
Yep.
Madness.
Me
No
too.
question about it. And the NBA Finals is definitely, yeah, basketball is my favorite sport. So NBA Finals is the given for sure. So yeah, I definitely rock with you on those events for sure. Um,
Yeah.
Two more questions before I get you up out of here. Advice.
Okay.
What is some advice that someone has gave you? Now we talked about advice you would give someone, but what is some
Hmm.
advice someone gave you that you hold on dearly to?
Mm. You know, I've heard from other podcasters and broadcasters when I first started, I reached out and I remember I reached out to Jamel Hill one time. This was years ago. She probably doesn't even remember it, I'm sure, but because she probably gets so many different things. But this is when I was first getting into it and trying to become a broadcaster or podcaster, try to get in the game. And she would say, kind of almost like what I said. She said, "Hey, the one thing you do is network, and you're gonna get more no's than yes in this business," she
Without
said. So,
question.
and she said, don't take it personal when you do ask someone if you want to interview them and they say no, or they can't do it, or they can't do it at this time. Don't take it personal. Like, it's just more of, that's just the way the business is. They're busy, and their time is valuable. So just like our time is valuable. So she said something in that thing is more of, just continue to keep striving, continue to keep, just building your network and building your brand. And people see it. If you're, you'll get respect, from that, from the hard work, and just always be prepared and listen and things like that. And I think that was really good when she said that. She didn't have to take the time to do that. I mean, this was 10 years ago. And like I said, I just reached out to her on Facebook Messenger, and he said these things, and really took that as like, okay, this is someone I always enjoyed listening to,
Sure.
um and would love to get her on the podcast, of course. But she did say that, and like I said, she probably won't remember because it was so long ago. I'm sure she gets a lot of emails and DMs. So I took that as like, yeah, I'm not gonna take if someone can't make the podcast if I'm asking them to interview. Even if somebody I really want to interview, I'm gonna continue to be persistent. And I think that was another thing I've heard, is continue, just keep going, keep being persistent. And the next thing you know, you will be interviewing the guest that you always wanted to interview. So yes, I think that was some of the best advice I've gotten.
I love that. I love that.
Mm.
And I'm gonna get you up out of here on this question. This question is pretty simple, man. What is, or if you can name, I should say, three more people, because you've been actually getting people as guests. What are three kind of like bucket list guests that you want on your podcast coming up?
Mm. Yeah, I love this question because it's there's quite a few. I'll narrow it down to the three that you asked. Interesting. I want to interview Taylor Rooks. I think she's one of the
Ooh,
main main people I really would love to
yeah.
interview, for the
Her
simple
and Joy
fact.
Taylor doing such a
Enjoy
great job on
Taylor
their podcast.
for
No
sure.
question.
I love both. I really enjoy both of them and what they've done, what they do. They're setting such a high standard
Right.
for not just women in sports, but just in general. But Taylor Rook, specifically, her interview style is tremendous. How she prepares, the questions she asks. I would just like to pick her brain on just that aspect, just one of the aspects of it, of like, you're
Sure.
so good at interviewing whoever you have, and she's so versatile. So she would be one of them. She's definitely
Absolutely.
one. Um, Agent Nicole Lynn from she's from Clutch Sports. She's another one, sports agent, super sports agent. Uh, this someone I bought her book, and I've seen her from the beginning. Just start. She started with Young Money, from Young Money Records with Lil Wayne, and
Wow.
now is high up there with Clutch Sports. And her client list is tremendous. Like, it's just, there's so many. So yeah. So she would be one. Another one, and I mean, I could say somebody like Michael Jordan, and their bucket list, of course, and of
Sure.
people that I would love. But I think the third one, that's a tough one, because there's, like I said, there's so many. I mean, I just mentioned Jamel Hill. Yeah, probably Jamel Hill. I would say Jamel Hill, just because, like I said, she was. And once I seen her, um, when I used to see her on TV, and how she just presents herself. I loved her when she was on His and Hers, Numbers Never Lie with Michael Smith. I love to interview both of them. now together. If they, I know they don't have a show or anything together anymore. But so those would be I think the three just off the top of my head. I would love to interview.
I love that. And and I will supply three as well. There's many bucket list people that I would love to interview. Kimberly Martin,
Yes.
from First Take. I would definitely love to interview her. She does a tremendous job of covering the NFL
Yeah, she
and
does.
being able to do her thing on First Take and other various shows. She's somebody who I would definitely love to interview. The next one is Kate Fagan. And the reason why I would love to
Mm,
interview Kate Fagan
mm.
is because I've already interviewed two of her three. If you remember, they had a radio show called The
Yeah,
Outside
I remember.
with Sarah Fain, Kate Fagan, and Jane McManus. And I've
Yes.
interviewed Jane and I've interviewed Sarah. So I would love to interview Kate Fagan
Okay.
as well to
Yeah.
complete the trio and get to know her as well. And then my ultimate one is probably Alex Curry. If I
Oh,
can get her
coach.
from
Yeah.
Fox Sports, man, she would be absolutely amazing. She does a great radio show on Saturdays as well out
Yes.
there on the
Yep.
West Coast. But she is my dream bucket list person. I love her so much. I would
Yes.
just absolutely love to talk to her and learn about her story because she graduated from San Diego State University, if I'm not mistaken, which is a university I'm very familiar of because
Hmm.
I used to go there all the time to play ball and also watch others play ball. I mean, that was literally right down the street from my house. So
Yeah.
I definitely want to interview those three for sure.
Yeah. There's so many incredible, like, just if we're just talking in sports media.
Yeah,
There's so many different names. Like, I like to interview the Matt Barnes, Steven Jackson,
sure,
all the smoke. I like
sure.
and we listen to so many different like we do we have our own podcast, but we listen to so many other podcasts. It'd be nice to interview somebody that's in that same genre as you said.
Absolutely.
Some of the Alex Curry is another one I would love to interview and have on the show too. And there's a lot of different people that you said that we would, and I think we would get that opportunity to have those all those guests and really pick their brain and share so they can share their story um with us too. So yeah, it's all about, like you said, it's all about networking, reaching out to to a lot of these people because it's funny because some of them are very easy to contact. Like if they have their email, we can reach right out to their email. I
Right,
remember I think
right.
I was telling you about, sometimes you gotta go through their PR sometimes, and a lot of times I go right straight to
To the
them.
source. Straight
Yeah,
to the
right
source.
to the source. Yeah, straight to the source. So it's if I see their email, I'll go right to them, and a lot of times they respond. It's like maybe
They
they can't
do.
do it this time. Other times like, hey, I love to. Let's set up a date. And once they do that, it's like, okay, I'm gonna find time because if there's somebody I really want to interview,
Absolutely.
we're gonna find the time. So yeah, it's pretty. Some of them are very open to be interviewed because some of them they don't even get asked to be interviewed, and when we ask them, they're like, wow, they really want to know and understand. They want to know more about us. I think
Right.
they really respect that. So yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. And like I said, I really truly appreciate you hopping on here, talking about your podcast, getting to know you a little bit outside of podcasting, getting to know you for who you are and not just what you do. If anybody knows the real deal is definitely the real deal. No pun
thank you.
intended. It's a great
Mhm.
podcast that several different kind of guests come on there. We're both trying to podcast and uplift people and hear their stories and
Yeah.
also get their information out, but also learn from them as well. Whatever we
Mhm.
can learn from them. Like I said, it's not just about what they do and who they are, but it's also about learning from people that have been in this industry that's getting to a place or at a place where we would like to ascend to as well. So, my man, please continue to do your thing out there in the
Thank you.
215. I'm definitely going to be a continued fan by watching your stuff for sure. As I always say, to end my podcast, is there anything else you would like to add about yourself before we conclude?
Uh, First and foremost, thank you for the invite. I really appreciate. I really appreciate the invite, and I love what you're doing as well. Like you said, I'm glad we're podcast partners.
Yes,
On the same network. So
Yep.
congratulations on that.
Thank
And
you.
it was just I just knew it was only once you reached out, and it was only a matter of time. I say, hey, Ben, hey, we got Chris Drummond. He wants to look at listen to the podcast, look at his all of his content. He'll be a great addition to the network. So I'm glad to get you. I'm glad that you're on board with the network. So again, congratulations on that, and looking forward to seeing all the guests you have. Because like I always told you, when we connected, I say, hey, you've had a lot of same guests I've had, or
Yep.
even some of the ones I've been trying to get. You've had them, so
Vice
and it's
versa. Vice
yeah,
versa. Yep.
and it's all and then like I said, it's all about. And that's what it's about. It's I know people we always say there was competition, and it yes, but it can be friendly competition, but I don't even look at it like that. I look at it, we're all in this podcast uh, family or whatever you want to call it. We're all in this space, podcast space, sports media space, and we're here to. You have the same guest, same. We all have different podcasts, so same guest. And I would say, hey, I don't mind. People be asking like, hey, can I reach out to you about this guest? Can I reach out to you about this guest? I'm like, sure. Who am I to say you can't reach out to someone? I'm not
Right.
doing that. I like to share that. Like if I have someone you've been trying to get on your show or whatever, I do my very best to help out as much as possible for them to do that. Because like I said, I love to share. I'm not trying to hog everything and I was like, oh, this is my guest and nobody else can do it. No, I'm not. It's not that type of thing. It's all about sharing it and just helping each other out. So I'm all for that. So that'll be my final word. With everything in this space. Like I said, it's competitive, it's competition and all that. Yes, it is. But at the end of the day, we're all just trying to make it. There's space for everybody.
Absolutely. And
Mhm.
just to piggyback off that real quick is, yeah, people naturally want to see, other people kind of,
Yeah,
be competitive towards each other, but it's friendly. For me,
yeah, hmm
when I see other people's podcasts, when I see your podcast, I love it because you're doing something one that you love to do. Number two, it's about not just imitation is a form of flattery. When you see a
hmm
guest on there, you're like, man, I would love to get that guest on here, but you're Courtney Harden and you're great doing it what you do. And I'm Chris Drummond, great at doing what I do. And our
yeah, right.
podcast, even though we're both podcasting, like you said, it's different. It's different podcasts that what we're doing.
Yeah.
And it's for differential reasons, but at the same time, it's two podcasts that you should look at and you should enjoy.
Yes,
Uh, and,
exactly.
and 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 the fact that we're on the same networks makes me very happy. The fact that I owe a lot of thanks to you for that because you connected me with the right guy to do that. So thank you very much.
Yeah,
And I've been
absolutely.
supportive of your podcast for months and months ever since I met you because you've had some really dope guests on there with great questions, and you can just tell the vibe of your podcast is so good. People love that, and that's kind of what I wanted to imitate with mine. I want people to feel comfortable talking about situations that might not be a comfortable thing to talk about. But let's not just talk about sports. Let's talk about communication, journalism, mental health. Let's talk about
Yes.
things that we deal with within the industry, right?
hmm
Because people that want to come into it, they got to know the A side and the B side. And that's what my podcast is all about. And like I said, man, it is a pleasure talking to you and all the guests that I've had on here on the podcast. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, man. Like I said, I'm honored. Very grateful and that we've connected. And like I said, I really enjoyed this conversation and looking forward to many more. And like I said, I'm looking forward to seeing that your
Mm,
podcast to continue to keep growing. And like I said, I always have my eye to see who you have on the show. And then I'm thinking like, oh man,
absolutely.
he's had all these guests. I'm
Mhm.
all right. I'm trying. I want to get this. Like you said, it's all respect, all love, man. And
It is.
I can't even like I said, I'm grateful to be on your show and to like I was so excited to do this. So man, really appreciate it.
No doubt. You take care and enjoy the rest of your Tuesday night, my man. And once again,
You
I
too.
appreciate you being on the Work Hard, Play Harder podcast.
All right, appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot. Talk to you soon. Have
All
a good
right.
one.
Bye bye now, you too.
All right, later.